Back to School issue number 2 from Image Comics. First off, just want to say that I love the Lollipop Chainsaw reference for the cover. Absolutely love the hell out of that game. In fact, I have a giant Julia Starling poster on my wall just to the right of me right now. So, yeah, I thought this cover was pretty cool. So, a quick recap for anyone who hasn't watched my first video on issue number 1, or anyone who hasn't read issue number 1. This takes place like a week or so after Cassie Hack first becomes a slasher hunter, and she basically comes across this old lady named Darla, who used to work in the movies, and she got involved with slashers. She hunts them, and she has this whole academy where she brings in people who come across slashers and trains them to fight them. There you go. You're all caught up. So we actually start off with a flashback where we see Darla getting ready to shoot one of her scenes for a movie called Slasher Sisters. So basically, it's just a bunch of like low budget slasher horror movies. And in this one, she's going to be hanging from a hook, and the killer is supposed to like come and scare her. But the guy who's supposed to dress up as the killer shows up, and they're kind of wondering, okay, well, if you're here, then who's this other guy in the mask? And it turns out the other guy in the mask is an actual slasher, and he slaughters everybody on the set and slashes Darla on the face, which blinds one of her eyes, and she's able to kill the slasher. We do get this like really weird moment where she gets off the hook and then she grabs a chainsaw, but the art for some reason changes. I have no idea why. It's not. It's just for one panel, and it's just really weird. It almost feels like the artist like had outlined what she wanted to do, and then just didn't go about doing it. Maybe time crunch or something. It's just, or maybe that's like a style that she does. I have no idea. I've never read any of her other works before, but yeah, it was really weird because we get the normal style, and then for one panel, we just get this really blocky kind of kids doodle style, and then the very next page, we get just a cool splash art back to its regular style, where Darla slashes the thing in half with a chainsaw. And then, yeah, we cut to Cassie at a meeting with all the other students, and it's kind of like the cafeteria scene from Hogwarts, only they're basically going over the slashers that were killed that week and who did them, and congratulating the people who, are protecting the world, yada yada. It's just kind of like a way to show how things are done. And we also get a scene where Baby Boo, she's the girl with the pigtails that we see in the cover of this issue. She's watching anime with Vlad and trying to get him involved with the dancing. So Cassie's kind of happy that Vlad seems to be making a friend. And yeah, Cassie is basically given her first mission the very next day, where her, Sam, and Baby Boo have to track down this guy who's basically killing people by cutting them in half and hanging them from the ceiling. Yeah, this is where things kind of take a turn for the weird, because as they're like looking at this body, they realize that he's being hung from the PC cords, but the PC is still on. That's when Cassie realizes that the PC is like a portal to another dimension. So all three girls go inside and they get teleported to a game. The game is The Sad and Unfortunate Adventures of Frog Boy. While there, they meet Frog Boy and they follow him around and they turn into pixel art. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, they're in the video game, so the art style for the comic matches like the art style for the game. So everyone's in pixels. That's kind of cool. I like that. Except when they start fighting, like one of the monsters there, it goes back to regular art style. So yeah, eventually they discover that there's a Frog Boy final chapter, but it was a game that never got released. Frog Boy is kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's, not the game style, but just the fact that it was like this indie series that like just exploded in popularity, and a lot of people are trying to like discover like the lore and the crazy stories behind the game and the characters in it. Like everything's kind of weird, and that's what kind of kept people's attention is the fact that everyone was trying to figure out like what is the story for this game. And the final chapter was a game that was being updated by the creator for 8 years. Like he was doing monthly updates for 8 years, but he never released the game. And all of a sudden, the update stopped 2 months ago at the same time that the game developer kind of vanished. And so the three girls get teleported to Frog Boy, the final chapter. And that's when they have to confront the final chapter version of Frog Boy, who's very like nihilistic. So like the very original Frog Boy is someone who would like never give up on his friends. But this version of Frog Boy is like there are no friends in this world. There are only people who take. And it's basically supposed to show that the original designer, the original creator of Frog Boy, basically when the game started getting up in popularity, he realized that people didn't care for him. They just cared for his game. And they just kept on wanting him to like work and work and work on the game. And they didn't really care about like what happened to him. So he kind of just lost it. And he's the one that turned into this slasher. There's more, but I don't want to like spoil everything. I will say that it was kind of interesting. I don't know how I really feel about this chapter when it comes to the slasher. I feel like the villain was kind of dealt with quickly. Well, let me rephrase that. The creator of Frog Boy is the slasher, but he's already dealt with by the time the girls come across him. So there's like really nothing for them to do. As for the final chapter, Frog Boy, he gets taken out pretty quickly as well. So it's just one of those where it's like, I feel like the girls are just kind of on this mission, but they don't do anything. It's like everything kind of gets resolved and they're just witnessing everything get resolved on its own. They don't really have any impact on the story. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like I like characters that take action. I'm not really the biggest fan of characters that are just there and everything kind of happens around them. I mean, it can work for certain things. Like what was the name of it? For a few dollars more, Clint Eastwood. Like you can pretty much say that main character, Clint Eastwood's character in that movie, isn't the main character, but Lee Van Cleef's character is actually the main character. And Clint Eastwood's character is kind of like the observer. Like he witnesses the actual characters go about and do things, and he doesn't really have too big of an impact on the story itself. But he kind of does. Here, it feels like the girls don't really have any impact on anything that's happening around them. It just things kind of get resolved, and they're just kind of there to witness it. So, yeah, that was kind of a bummer. Other than that, I like the artwork. I like the whole like switching the pixel art when they go into the game. The idea of what's here is pretty interesting. Like Cassie joining this academy with a bunch of other girls who are being trained to hunt slashers. The only problem is that they're not really being trained to hunt slashers. Like Cassie literally showed up the day before, or maybe 2 days before, and then today she just basically has a meal. She gets introduced to everybody. Or when I say introduced, they basically just announce her name and say that she's a new person here. And then she goes to sleep. And the next day they're like, here's your mission. So there's no like actual training. So it's kind of like, what is this academy for? Is it just to gather girls and just tell them like, hey, here's where some slashers are, go fight them, without any actual training being done? I thought that's what the story was going to be after reading the first issue. But whatever. It's fine if they kind of skip that because, I guess we get to just jump right into the whole slashing, hunting kind of business. Except, like I said before, this very first mission is just kind of there. They just kind of witness things. Everyone else around them kind of solves the problem for them, and they're just along for the ride. So that was kind of a bummer. But overall, it was a fine issue. I would give it like, I don't know, maybe a 6 out of 10. It was good, not great. Artwork, like I said, is good. Characterization of Cassie seems to be pretty good. Like she feels like Cassie. Most of my complaints, like I said, it's just the fact that I feel like the girls don't really have any impact on the story yet. They're just kind of there. but maybe things will change in the next issue. So there you go. There is Hack Slash Back to School, issue number 2 from Image Comics. Hope you enjoy. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.